Hi there. In the next round of the PogChamps, Rainn Wilson was up against Tubbo. His nickname Tubbo2312. So who is Tubbo? Tubbo is Toby Smith. He's playing with the white pieces in this game. So he's an English streamer, content creator, and he's most famous for his Minecraft streams and videos. And he's got more than 2 million followers on Twitch and over 1 million YouTube subscribers at the time of this recording. So a really successful streamer, celebrity. So Tubbo, playing with the white pieces, plays e4. We see Rainn Wilson play d6, bishop c4, and now g6, knight f3, bishop g4, and there is a bit of a fly in the ointment here with bishop g4, which wasn't spotted by Tubbo. He castled, and although this is a kind of recommendation to put yourself beyond defeat before going on to the attack, basically, that's the philosophy here, to castle early, there was actually an interesting opportunity. So sometimes it really depends on the exact position you are in. Shouldn't always routinely castle. There's a major opportunity. I wonder if you can spot it, which in bullet chess, I've played this quite a bit actually, this kind of opportunity. If I give you 5 seconds to pause the video, what do you think white could have played here? Okay, white could have played bishop takes f7 check, drawing the king out, and then knight g5 check. And the point is we can take the bishop, so we've exposed the king, stopped castling, and won a pawn. So that was an interesting opportunity, but it was missed. The routine castling is not always the best move in chess. And again, Rainn Wilson allows this bishop f7 tactic, but it's missed again. And after knight d7, it's actually missed again. So bishop g5, and in fact this leaves that pawn hanging. Bishop takes b2 was played here, knight bd2. We have bishop takes rook, queen takes, and although there is some compensation here, white has to be a bit careful. After f6, white unfortunately played bishop h6, and that was just gobbled. Knight takes h6. We see h3, bishop takes, g takes, which actually compromises white's king a little bit. After knight e5, bishop e6, we see knight d7, f4, knight c5, which hits the bishop moves, c6, bishop c4, we see now queen a5 hitting the knight moves, knight takes b3, c takes, and black castles queenside. So black is doing very well here, a rook up. We see f5. Unfortunately, this does have a negative side to it. This g file is very dangerous for white's king, and that is actually exploited here. G takes f5, e takes, and now queen takes f5. So white's king is precariously weak as well now. We see d4, d5, which shuts out the bishop from the view of the g8 square, so black can actually even play rook g8 without even losing what's called the exchange, a rook for a bishop. So bishop e2, we have rook hg8 check, king h2, and now queen f4 check, king h1, and now queen e4 check, and white made an inaccurate move but in a lost position. White played king h2, allowing the knockout blow queen g2 checkmate. However, this is a very difficult position. If f3, queen h4, and say king h2, queen g3 check will be mating with either queen takes or queen g2 anyway. So it was in a lost position, making things worse there. So an interesting game to look at. There's a key tactic which does occur in many games online all the time, every day. The idea that you can rely on the relative pin is something which needs to be questioned, and also not routinely castling every time. Sometimes there is a move which might actually be stronger, which fits into the needs of the particular position. So they say in chess, it depends really on the position. General principles are good, but sometimes there are particular opportunities a position affords. So in this case, yeah, it was this bishop takes f7. So yeah, I think some interesting points to pick up from these games and mention. Okay, thanks very much. So at this point in the match, after Tubbo had lost this first game, he needs to win the next game to try and get a tie-break situation. So let's shortly look at game 2. Okay, in game 2, Rainn Wilson playing with the white pieces, 10 minutes, 5-second increments. we have e4 from Rainn Wilson, and we have the classic e5, knight f3, knight c6, the classic Roy Lopez. Bishop c5, white castles, knight f6, rook e1, and now the lunging move, knight g4, hitting f2. The rook actually goes to f1 here, black castled, the knight's kicked back, so h3, knight f6, rook e1, a6. Rainn Wilson doubles the pawns, not afraid to double the pawns. And I believe he could consider knight takes e5 here. That would be safe enough. If rook e8, for example, then, you know, as an example, d4. But knight c3, we have d5, but now knight takes e5, d4, knight a4 hitting that bishop. The bishop goes back. Knight takes c6, a very good move. Queen e8, and now knight takes a7, taking out that potentially dangerous bishop on this diagonal. We have rook takes a7. Queen takes a4 was to be considered as well, but the knights can actually just take on c8 if there's any issue. The knight's not going to get trapped, and white will be much better here. So knight takes a7, rook takes. We have b3, knight takes e4, which is going into a terrible self-pin. This is another great lesson, actually, because a lot of online games are often decided by people taking the risk of going into self-pins. Quite often it's just not worth it. There are tactics emerging, and they could be a lot more subtle in other situations where it's really not worth it going into a relative pin. Here it's immediately punishable with f3. Rainn Wilson plays this, exploiting that pinned piece, winning it. Now after f takes e4, and we have d3, queen g6, queen f3, rook e5, bishop b2, rook h5. This seems like a dangerous attack. Can it be repulsed? Can it be defended? Well, we see an interesting move, g4. In general, you shouldn't be moving pawns around your king, but here it seems that the rook's pretty committed and stranded there, and we see bishop takes d4 hitting the other rook. That's ignored with h5. Now there is a king safety concern. We see Rainn Wilson actually self-serving with the king, self-service king safety, king f2. He could have actually gotten away with bishop takes a7, it seems, because in this position, as an example, there's not too much to fear here. The queen and the king, they control things, and if there's any attempt to kind of pin the queen like this, then rook g1, and that will sort that out. For example, here just taking that, and that's material up for white. So king f2 was played, though. H takes, bishop takes g4, queen g3, and we have rook h3. The queen drops to g2, rook f3, and it looks, this is a little bit scary. King g1 is a good move, actually, because if king e2, can you see what black could play here? If I give you 5 seconds to pause the video, what would black play in this position? Okay, rook g3 check, and then just taking the queen. So this would be just much better for black, actually. For example, this situation, check, and then move the rook. After the check, say, move the rook. That's much better for black. So king g1, good move. We see c5, defending that rook for a moment. And now bishop h3. Now, if white blundered with bishop takes a7, then queen takes g2 is checkmate. Thankfully, you know, Rainn Wilson, well, I'm a bit of a fan of his. He took on g6. And maybe I'm biased to Rainn Wilson. He took on g6, then took the rook, much safer. g5, we see rook f1, rook g3 check. It didn't matter if black took here. White's sufficiently winning here after bishop takes, rook takes. White's 2 pieces up. So rook g3 check, king h2, bishop takes, and now king takes g3, the better choice, taking that rook out rather than bishop. And now we have rook e1, bishop h5, and it's a bit of a mopping up job now. Let's just have a breeze through. White starts to advance the pawns. Yes, another bishop's given up here, but there's not much for black to do anyway. Okay, and the pawns start advancing. And check. The only thing to avoid is a stalemate. Black still got a move though there. And now we see rook f2. And now rook f7 is actually checkmate. So congratulations to Rainn Wilson. Very nice. And he goes on to the next round. No tiebreak this time. So great stuff. And congratulations to ChessCon for organising this celebrity event. It's great to see these well-known celebrities playing chess. It can only help promote and grow the game further. So excellent stuff. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to learn a bit about tactics like relative pins, check out my Kingscrusher TV / chess tactics course. It's a bestseller actually at Udemy at the moment. And you might want to check out those other courses as well. Just Kingscrusher TV / and then whatever it is. Okay, comments, questions, likes, shares, subscribes, all appreciated. Thanks very much.